I just said what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the coronavirus, which is COVID-19, how bad it is, how does it spread, what are the symptoms, what can I do to avoid being infected, what if somehow I get infected, how do I boost my immune system, research on the immune system, and the take-home message. So first off is, what is the coronavirus? Well, the virus is named SARS-CoV-2, and the disease has been named COVID-19. So that's what you're hearing out there right now. And of course, we all know that it's a respiratory illness, so you can hold off on the toilet paper. But it can be spread from person to person. Now, the spread started in Wuhan. And I was just checking to make sure we're still good here. It started in Wuhan, China, and it's almost every continent on Earth, but it seems to be related to other viruses like MERS and SARS-CoV, which is a previous coronavirus. But all three of those seem to have origins in bats. Now, there was also some conversation going on that it was created in a lab, and we don't know. I'm sure that's possible. But here's, how bad is it? Well, here's what I can tell you. As far as Wuhan goes, first of all, there's 11 million people in Wuhan, and about 70,000 people there were tested for the coronavirus. Now, what we can see is that the deaths were somewhere between 0.7% and 3.4%. And what we know is that the seasonal influenza virus can cause about 6% of people to be infected. So mild symptoms tended to be about 80% or a little over, and it continued from there. Now, the deal is that the people who are most at risk tended to be those people who were older and who had some sort of a medical condition, whether it be cardiovascular, diabetes, chronic respiratory, cancer. The vast majority of people who died were all people who had some sort of a chronic medical condition. And the people who had no existing conditions, there was less than 1% of the people that had died from that. So the chance one of the comments that was made was that the chance of serious illness from coronavirus infection in younger people was actually so low that the scientists estimate that the fatality rate was 0. Now, typically, older people have more pre-existing health problems than the younger people, and so that kind of makes sense as to why people who were 60 years of age and older were most at risk. But one of the things that I want to show you, I think it's on this next one, is that how contagious and how deadly it is hard to say. So what we do know is that if you look at the graph here, you can see that bird flu, Ebola, MERS, smallpox, polio, tuberculosis, and SARS, they all appeared to be a lot more deadly. What we know is that, you remember I told you in the last slide that 70,000 people were tested in Wuhan. Well, there's estimates that's not really what it was. It shows here, I don't know if you can see my pointer or not here, but the fatality rate may be actually a lot lower than it was. And the reason is because with the epidemiologists, they believe that only 14% of the people in Wuhan were actually even detected with the early coronavirus infection. So in other words, if there was only 70,000 people who were actually detected, and about, I don't know the number, I don't remember the number, but they're saying about anywhere from 0.7 to 3% of those people, of that 70,000 people had died. Actually, if you only have 14% of the people who were actually tested, if that number was a lot higher, like 500,000 to get the full percentage, then your death toll would be actually a lot less than what's shown. And so the infection rate would be a lot less. Now, what kind of symptoms do you get with COVID-19? Well, one of the things we know is that there's fever, cough, shortness of breath. Shortness of breath tends to come a little bit later, but fever, cough, shortness of breath. Some people get headaches, some people get aches, and there's a lot of people who don't have any symptoms at all. So the virus tends to spread by coughing and sneezing on someone, and it essentially passes from person to person. And that's why they're trying to tell people, hey, try to stay away from people who might be sick, and also try to keep at least, they're saying 6 feet away. But here's the thing, is that just because somebody may be infected with the coronavirus does not mean that you're even going to, that you could even be infected with it. And I'll go over that in a little bit more. One of the questions was, is it flu? Is it allergy? Is it coronavirus? What is it? It's hard to say, but one of the key things that they tend to talk about is the fact that the shortness of breath tends to be the key feature of, is it the regular flu? What is it? And the other thing is that typically with an allergy, you're not going to have any kind of a fever. So how do you avoid contracting COVID-19? Well, the number one best way is to enhance your own immune system. I mean, that's key. That is so key. Now, how do you enhance your own immune system? Well, first off, you might have to change your lifestyle. You might have to de-stress, because there's studies out that I'll go over here in a couple of minutes here with you that shows how stress dramatically lowers your immune system. In fact, one of the studies was done at Ohio State University Medical Center, and what they found was that 170 genes are affected by stress, and stress shuts about 100 of them off completely. When we talk about stress, there's more stress. So this was a test that was actually done in an article from the New England Journal of Medicine in 1991. So it's a while ago, but it doesn't matter because it still gives us the same kind of information. And this was test done on 394 people. And what they did was they took these people and they shoved like a Nasonex bottle or something up their nose, and they squirted them with one of 5 different viruses. There was 3 rhinoviruses that could have been used. There was another respiratory virus and a different coronavirus. Then what they did was they had them complete a questionnaire, because they were trying to figure out, okay, how much stress do these people actually have? And what they found was that the more psychological stress that people had, the more likely they were to get sick. And the psychological stress was actually a better predictor than the sickness of any other lifestyle factors. So where I just said to you before about changing your lifestyle, that's really important. But stress, there's got to be ways to battle and confront stress, and that's what we're going to talk about here in a little bit. But one of the key things was that even though they shoved those viruses up their nose, 25% of the people still didn't get infected. So just because you're exposed doesn't actually mean that you're going to have a problem. So there's a little bit of research, there's actually a lot of research on it, but there's research on chiropractic adjustments. And there's this Dr. Felton, when he and his research team, what they did was they found that the part of the nervous system controls the spleen, and the spleen is really important in immune system modulation. And so what they did was they found that people who were under stress, just like the last study, it would alter their immune system and their susceptibility to a variety of diseases. And so the immune system is affected by the nervous system, and it also affects your endocrine system. So if we know that the nervous system controls the immune system, which we know that your brain controls every cell, tissue, and organ of your body, and it does it by sending a signal down the spinal cord and out through the nerve roots, and everything is controlled communication-wise through the nervous system. And so another study that was done by a Dr. Kevin Tracy, he found that the brain speaks directly to the nervous system, which is what we already knew. And this had to do with the vagus nerve. And what they found was that if you stimulated the vagus nerve, you could actually reduce the amount of inflammation. And therefore, some of the research that they were doing, they were able to treat some different diseases, including life-threatening sepsis. And since inflammation is huge for autoimmune issues like Crohn's, rheumatoid arthritis, Alzheimer's, Hashimoto's disease, I mean, these are all autoimmune diseases. If you can reduce the inflammation, then you can reduce the amount of damage. You can also reduce the amount of change that occurs in the body. Here's another one on chiropractic immune upregulation. This was actually done where they adjusted a bunch of AIDS patients. And this was a 6-month period of time, and 48%, when the people who had been adjusted had an increase of 48% of the CD4 cells. And these cells are really important for your immune system. Well, the control group, the group that didn't get adjusted at all, they did not have somewhat of an increase. They actually had a decrease in their function. So we can see here how chiropractic adjustments actually enhanced the immune function. Here's another research article that talks about how phagocytic cell respiratory bursts, which is just a big word for meaning, hey, the body is able to make the white blood cells work better. And so it showed that the neutrophils and the monocytes in the adults were increased dramatically by chiropractic adjustments. So in other words, the white blood cells, which are the cells that act kind of like a Pac-Man or a destroyer that go around killing all the different bad rogue cells, whether it be viruses or anything along that line, is enhanced with chiropractic care. So basically what it says, all this stuff says, is that the nervous system has a direct effect on the immune system due to the nervous supply and how important that is for the immune system and its organs. Now, I'm going to give you one more right now, and this is one that was actually, I think it's the next one. This was done by Dr. Ronald Perro from New York's Preventative Medicine Institute. And what he did was he was measuring the immune system of people who were under chiropractic care compared to the general population who wasn't getting any adjustments, compared to other people who had some kind of cancer or other serious disease. It was a 3-year study. It was done on 107 patients. And what the chiropractic patients had been under care for about 5 years, and they were getting adjusted a couple of times a month. And what he found is that there was a 200% greater immune competence in the people who had received chiropractic care compared to the people who didn't get chiropractic care. In fact, it was a 400% greater immune competence than the people with cancer or other serious diseases. His comment on that was, he said, I've never seen a group other than this chiropractic group to experience a 200% increase over the normal patients. So I talk to my patients all the time about how important it is to get adjusted and stay adjusted, because whether you have pain or not, the question is how well is your brain controlling your immune system? How well is your brain controlling your body? And so that has to happen with communication between the brain and the body for things to work properly. Now, we just talked about chiropractic care boosting the immune system. What else can boost the immune system? How do we win this battle? Well, what are we eating? You know, what kind of foods are we eating? Are we eating foods that are have no nutritional value, kind of like the cereals that they like to spray vitamins on and say that it's been fortified? Are we taking vitamins? Are they good vitamins? Are they synthetically made? Are they whole food vitamins? What kind? Actually, if you check out our website, and actually I believe it's also on our Facebook page, Sopchak Natural Health and Wellness, there's a study or a talk that I did called Can Taking Vitamins Kill You? So that gives you some good information on vitamins. And what about herbs? Herbs are huge too. The next question is what do we put on our bodies? Now, we know that like deodorants and things like that that have aluminum in them are going to cause our immune system to reduce. Some of the stuff that we put on in our hair and on our bodies have propylene ethyl glycol, and they affect our immune system and how our bodies function. And then there's essential oils, which have been around forever, and they work really well to enhance how we function. How do we move? We're talking about exercise. I mean, just get out and take a walk, even if nothing else. How do we think? So we're talking about what do we eat? How do we move? How do we think? How do we stress ourselves? You know, the thoughts that we have in our head, are they thoughts of gratitude? Are they fear? Are they worry? What kind of thoughts are these? Now, I'm just going to step back for 1 second because I just want to give you just a brief little bit of information about viruses. Since we're talking about the coronavirus, here's some more information about viruses in general. And basically, they're small infectious agents, and they have a nucleic acid. And really what it is it's a single strand of DNA. It's called RNA. And we know that there's over 300,000 different types of viruses. But the way viruses work, they're not really like a full living being, I guess is how you would say it. What it is it's this thing that has this protein in it, and it tries to attach to a cell wall of ours or another animal or something like that. And what it does is it tries to inject its proteins inside the cell so that it can cause the cell to make more virus cells or to replicate them. So it's kind of like a parasite, if you will. But there are very few treatments, actually, allopathically or natural, that can kill a virus outright. But oftentimes people say that the virus has to run its course. And that's only partially true, because there are things that you can do to, or take, or utilize that Mother Nature put right here for us to reduce the stress or the effects of the virus and the speed with which they're there. For example, colloidal silver, it suffocates viruses by blocking the enzymes they need in order to be oxygenated, and they need oxygen in order to live. Elderberry, I don't know how many people have heard of elderberry, but about 60 mLs a day for adults, 30 for kids, and it speeds the recovery by binding to those little spikes on the virus that attach to the cell, and it binds to them so that they can't attach anymore. Echinacea we take all the time. It has antiviral action. Garlic is antiviral, it's antibacterial, it's antifungal. Green tea blocks the enzymes needed for the virus to reproduce. Licorice reduces the ability to reproduce, but it also stops its ability to penetrate in the cells. Now, one thing about licorice is if you have blood pressure issues, if you have high blood pressure, really have to be careful taking licorice, because it can increase your blood pressure somewhat. Olive leaves block enzymes that are needed to reproduce, and pau d'arco damages the DNA and the RNA in the virus so that it can no longer reproduce. And then finally, St. John's wort. St. John's wort is antiviral. It's also known for depression and neuralgia, but we use it here all the time for patients who have viruses. And St. John's wort isn't, again, it's not something that's going to necessarily kill the virus, but it enhances the body's ability to do it. Now, vitamin A is something else that's really important. Now, why is vitamin A important? Well, vitamin A kind of acts like this protective layer, okay? So the carotene goes over, it protects the cell. So then when the virus tries to get in, it bounces off of it. It's kind of like Kevlar, and it doesn't allow it in. So if you have enough carotene and you have iodine and you have a healthy thyroid, then your body makes its own vitamin A. But the thing is if you don't, then you need to get your vitamin A in another way. You can take it in supplements. Here's some foods that are really high in vitamin A. We got sweet potatoes, squash, kale, collard greens, turnips. And there's some high, as you can see, 204% in sweet potatoes. Carrots, sweet red peppers, Swiss chard, spinach, and romaine lettuce are some other foods that are high. These are all vegetables that are really high in carotenes. One other thing that we can do is we can use essential oils. Essential oils is something that we use at our home regularly. There's several of them that we use in cleaning and disinfectants here, such as lemon and lime and cinnamon bark and bergamot. I'm trying to think what else we use. Eucalyptus and several others. And clove bud, but these are all really, they're antiviral, antiseptic, they're great products to be able to use. Somehow that slide got a little out of place, I apologize, but some of the other products were vegetables, and in this case, fruits, that you can utilize in order to get some vitamin A out of our mangoes, cantaloupe, red grapefruit, pink grapefruit, watermelon, papaya, apricots, tangerines, nectarines, guava, and passion fruit. You know, of course, some of them like passion fruit don't have a whole lot, but they do have it in there. And then there's other things like, I'm not a big fan of liver. You know, oily fish, liver, cheese, butter, those are great foods to give you the retinol, which is also part of the vitamin A. I'm just not a big liver eater myself. I don't mind taking a standard processed product that is liver, because I'd rather eat that than eat the liver. But we do cod liver oil and some salmon and tuna, and butter and things like that. There's also Limburger cheese, which probably doesn't, I know it doesn't smell real good, but cheddar cheese, and you can actually, Trader Joe's, you can get raw cheddar cheese. So that's a great product. Now, vitamin C. Vitamin C is really important. So let me back up for 1 second and give you a little bit about that virus that we talked about. Now the virus, if it gets in to the cell, if the body makes what's called a cytokine storm, so if your immune system is really low and you have the cytokine storm, then your immune system kind of goes nuts. And vitamin C and vitamin D are what kind of squelch that cytokine storm, and they help you to be able to, okay, I got the virus and now I'm going to move on. My body's going to take it out. I'm going to kill it. But you need a good vitamin C and also vitamin D. And here's some great sources of vitamin C: broccoli, cantaloupe, cauliflower, orange juice. Now, when we talk about orange juice here, that's not orange juice that you buy in a store, because when you go to the store and you buy that orange juice, it says it's been pasteurized. Well, first of all, anytime you heat vitamin C, it kills all the vitamin C. So orange juice in this case is fresh squeezed orange juice. That's the kind of orange juice that you want to use. Now, sweet potatoes are also another great source of vitamin C, and one of the best sources of vitamin C is actually raw white potatoes. They're really high in vitamin C. It's just that people don't want to eat them raw. So vitamin D, where do you get your vitamin D? Well, of course, the sun, but here we are in Ohio. And in this part of Ohio, how much sun do we really get? Not a whole lot. So sometimes there's some things that we need to utilize in order to get some vitamin D. And cod liver oil is a great place to get the vitamin D. You also get vitamin A there. As far as the sunlight goes, 15 minutes is what you really want to try to get at a time. But, we're all covered up here in Ohio, so we're not getting a whole lot. Now, you notice on this list, we also have raw milk, and there's eggs and mushrooms. So there's a lot of things that you can utilize in order to get your D levels. But I will tell you that because of this area, what I have found myself is that my family all takes 5,000 IUs, every single one of us, because every time we stop taking it, our vitamin D levels drop down into the 30s, and that's just too low. You really want to be somewhere up in the 70s or 80s. Now, why would we want to support our adrenal glands? Remember we talked about de-stressing? Well, your adrenal glands are responsible for your body's response to all stress. Doesn't matter whether it's physical, chemical, emotional, it doesn't matter. It's the first thing that your body uses to respond to stress is going to be your adrenal glands. And they're really very small. They sit on top of your kidneys, and they're only the size of an almond, but you can't live without them. So the other things that the adrenals do is they help your body balance your sugar levels. So they do a dance, with your insulin. They have a role in digestion, and so they affect how well you digest your food. They make your sex hormone precursors. Now, these are the reparative hormones. These are the ones that help you to function better. And stressed out adrenals will affect your sleep. They're going to affect your attitudes. And of course, they're going to affect how stressed you really are. And so it affects your immune system. Now, zinc is another food is another mineral that's really important for your immune system. And so here's some different places that you can get zinc. Whole wheat bread. I'm not a huge fan of a lot of breads just because they're too starchy. I'm not a big fan of some of the tofus because I always worry about the tofu. And so anyways, lentils are great, pumpkin seeds, almonds, hummus, oatmeal. So these are all some great places to get zinc. But zinc is important because it enhances your cell-mediated immunity. It means it helps your body to fight things. It's an antioxidant, it's anti-inflammatory, and when you're low in zinc, it's going to reduce your ability to make hormones. It's going to reduce your immune system function. It's shown to decrease the incidence of infections. It decreases oxidative stress, and in general, it reduces inflammatory cytokines. So, what should I stop doing to reduce my stress? Well, we talked about being active. Eat well, think well, move well, okay? So stop laying around and watching TV. TV is just gonna make you frustrated and stressed out, especially now. Reduce your alcohol consumption. Why would we reduce alcohol consumption? Because it's sugar and it gets straight into our system. And one of the things we know about sugar is that sugar reduces your immune system by 50% for up to 8 hours. So it doesn't take a lot. Lose some weight. Why do we lose weight? Because the fat cells in our body cause hormone changes, and fat tends, when we are overweight or obese, it really reduces our body's immune system, and it reduces our ability to get out and move and be healthy. It's actually one of the top causes of morbidity now. Stop going back for seconds. So when you eat slower. And don't go back for seconds. Actually, I tell people all the time, put your fork down between every bite and you won't eat as fast. Make sure you chew at least 10 to 15 times everything that you chew. Stop eating sugar and starches because they reduce your immune system. Where else do we get sugar? We get it in pop, we get it in juices, because a can of pop is like a quarter of a cup of sugar. And juices, they're all filled with sugar. And what ends up happening when you juice, you have to be careful how much fruit you juice, because what'll happen is it's not attached. The sugars are no longer attached, like in the fructose is attached in apples to the pectin. So when your body takes it in, it has to break that down to get used to be able to use that sugar. Whereas if you just were to juice an apple, that's not there anymore. And so it's going to get straight into your bloodstream. Stop getting angry or irritated at people. That's easy to say, but it's something that we have to try to really pay attention to how we respond to other people. All right, what should I do to improve my immune system? So we just talked about what kind of things do we need to do to reduce or to stop reducing how our immune system works. But now we're going to talk about what we can do to enhance it. Meditating, praying, doing breathing exercises. Now, if everybody were to just take a second right now, and breathing is the easiest thing to do. You know, all you have to do is take about 4 seconds to come in through your nose, hold it for 4 and blow it out. So like this. Hold it, and now if you just did that with me, you'll notice that you just feel calmer, you feel more relaxed. And if you do that throughout the day, especially when somebody frustrates you or ticks you off and you just want to go at them, it's a great way to really reduce your stress. I'll talk about meditating in a couple of minutes, but what I can tell you is that there's 1,561 different genes that are and of those, 874 are upregulated for your health, and 687 of them are downregulated with stress. So, you know, it's important to try and reduce our stress. Start forgiving people. Why? Because we just hang on to that, hang on to it. And it's not doing anything to those people. What it's doing is it's affecting us, and it's affecting how well we are handling our own energy. And that's just a negative drain on our energy, and it's a big stress on our body. Eat quality organic foods. Why would we want to eat organic foods? Well, there's research out there that shows that there's 330 times the nutrients in organic food compared to conventionally grown food. And if you were to think about conventionally grown food, you can spray all the stuff you want on the ground, but and make those vegetables and everything look nice and big and pretty. But the question is what kind of nutrients are in the soil? And if we keep continually putting the same stuff in the same soil all the time, and we're not fertilizing it naturally, like Standard Process, the company that I use for whole food supplements, they use what's called green manure. So what they do is they grow weeds, and just as the weeds start to come up, they till it. And just as the weed starts to come up, they till it, and they plant weeds, specific weeds, in the places where they grew product for their whole food supplements that will restore or replenish that soil there, which is so important, because the soil is everything. And if you have bad soil, you're going to have bad quality food. Eat more vegetables. You know, stay away from the starches. Eat more fruits. Journal with gratitude. Now, this is one of the things that I'll tell you in a second, but you know, my wife and I do this at nighttime. We journal with gratitude. So what are we thankful for? So before you go to bed, you know, write down what you're thankful for. In the morning, write down what you're thankful for. Start the day well, end the day well, and in a second, you'll see how much it improves you. Get some exercise. We just said, go for a good walk and get adjusted. We already talked about some of the research out. I'm going to touch on a little bit more here in a second. But remember, I just was talking about fear and worry and gratitude. Now, here's what I can tell you. Stress knocks your body out of balance, okay? And it comes in 3 forms. We talk about physical stress, chemical stress, emotional stress. But when we're looking at, for example, something that we can handle, like fear and worry and overwhelm, what we know is that each time that we get into this fear and worry, what ends up happening is there's 1,400 chemical reactions that take place and over 30 hormones and neurotransmitters that start to turn your health in a downward way. However, if you go into a feeling of gratitude and thankfulness, it stimulates 1,200 different reactions that help your body to realign, repair, restore. And so it's always the best to get into that state of gratitude so that we can upregulate our actual own immune system and our own well-being. Now, we've heard of the Spanish flu. If you remember, in the very beginning, I ended up talking about how there was a whole bunch of different viruses like Ebola and the Spanish flu and SARS, and I mean all these that were causing all kinds of pandemic problems. Well, the Spanish flu, of course, which was in 1917 and 18, was one of the worst ones that we had around here. Now, here's some interesting quick stats that I can give you about the Spanish flu. So in Davenport, Iowa, there were 50 medical doctors who treated 4,900 cases of the Spanish flu, and there was with 274 deaths. In the same city, there was 150 chiropractors, including students, that treated 1,600 cases, and there was only one death. That same flu in New York City, for every 10,000 cases that were treated medically, there was 950 deaths. For every 10,000 cases that was treated with chiropractic, there was 25 deaths. Pneumonia, which of course is a problem that occurs after a lot of times as a consequence of these. Pneumonia is also a huge killer of people. For every 10,000 cases that were treated medically, there were 6,400 deaths. The ones who were treated with chiropractic was 100. Now, I'm not saying that we don't need medications and that medications are no good and everything should be done through chiropractic. I'm not saying that at all. But what I will tell you is that when we enhance our immune system function and we allow our body to take care of itself, oftentimes it does. Okay, so there were the national, and I realized this was a while ago, and the amount of drugs that they had were different than they are now. But the national figures from that same time showed that 1,100 chiropractors treated over 46,000 patients for that flu, and there was 54 patients who died, 1 out of every 886. In Oklahoma, they treated 3,400, almost 3,500 cases, and there were 7 deaths. But the best part of that is that in Oklahoma, there was 233 cases where the medical doctors said, look, we can't do anything for you. We're done. We throw up our hands. And those patients went and saw chiropractors, and only 25 of them died. So if you enhance how your immune system functions, you can make changes. The power that made the body heals the body. And that's why I believe so much in what I do. And I love being able to help people to get healthier. The thing here is be smart. Okay, what we know is that you gotta wash your hands. Wash your hands with soap. That's the best thing that you can do. And you're supposed to wash them for 20 seconds. You're supposed to get your hands, your fingers, the back of the hands, the top of the hands, in between the fingers. And then don't touch your face. Why don't you touch your face? Because this is where the mucous membranes are, okay? And when you touch the mucous membranes, you have a higher propensity to getting sick. And so there was actually a study where they took a guy and they had him playing poker with 7 other guys. And all 7 of the guys he was playing poker with all had some sort of flu or virus that they were playing. Well, what they did was they tied his arms to his side so he could play cards, but he couldn't reach up and touch his face in any way. He never got sick. So he was exposed to everything, but everything was fine. He didn't get sick. Now, they repeated the same study, I can't remember, it was a week or 2 weeks later, and this time they didn't tie his hands down, and so he was able to touch his face and whatever, and so he ended up getting sick that time. So when you go out and you go into the public, whether you're on an airplane or you're at the grocery store, wash your hands as soon as you can, and the bigger thing is that don't touch your face. Just, especially your nose, your mouth, and your eyes, don't touch them. Right now they're asking us to stay out of crowds. Why? Because this is passed from person to person by somebody coughing or sneezing, and it's an easy way to catch it. Stay away from the people who are sick. And if you're sick, then you should stay at home. I mean, these are just smart things to do. When you sneeze, try to sneeze into a tissue or into your elbow so that it doesn't blow all those germs, whether you're sick or not, blow them all over everywhere or anybody else. Now, here's the thing. Face masks really don't work. One of the things the CDC came out when they were saying is that you can put one of those face masks on and it's not going to stop it's because the viruses are so small, it's not going to stop the viruses from getting into you, and it actually can enhance your ability to get it, because when you're putting it on, you're touching your face. You're touching near your eyes, you're trying to make it go on. The green ones that are 95%, those are the best ones, but there again, the thing is that the people who wear them should be the people who are sick, so that they don't spread it to other people. It's not going to make a difference whether we wear them or not. And toilet paper doesn't make a difference either. So stop buying all this toilet paper out there. Holy cow. Gargling with bleach. Now, who would gargle with bleach? Well, that's something that people have asked, can I gargle with bleach? No, you can't gargle with bleach. It's going to trash your throat. It's going to open up, give you sores, and it's going to allow you to get sick, besides how bad it is for your body. Antibiotics do not kill viruses. And I'll say it again, antibiotics do not kill viruses. They only kill bacteria. So when you have the flu or when you have a virus, getting antibiotics is not going to help you. In fact, it'll probably make you worse, because your gut has 80% of your immune system in it, okay? And if you're taking antibiotics and you're killing anything in your gut, you're not just killing bad bacteria, you're killing good bacteria, good flora. And so now it reduces your immune system and actually makes you have the ability to get sicker easier than if you don't. There are no vaccines at this time for COVID-19. Now, I know that yesterday, I think it was up on the internet or on the TV, I saw it, there was a trial being done with 45 different people who were getting vaccinated for COVID-19 to see if, hey, does it work, does it not work? The problem is there hasn't been any testing, so you don't know what kind of side effects there are. There's no long-term studies, and I realize that we've got an issue going on here, but sometimes the cure is worse than the disease itself. And if you remember in the beginning, we talked about how, it's 80 to 90% of the people who don't have an issue, okay? Yeah, you might have the sniffles. Yeah, you might, have a cough or a fever, but your body's going to take care of that. And the biggest people, again, who were having issues were the people who are older and who already are immunocompromised. So boost your immune system. Boost your immune system with chiropractic adjustments. The cure. So the cure is not in a bottle. It's not in a pill. It's not a lotion. It's not a potion. It's not a healthy dose of good luck. What it is the way to combat the viruses and any other virus is lifestyle. So we're talking about eating well, thinking well, moving well, getting adjusted, supporting your adrenals. Remember, we talked about how important the adrenals were, and we talked about the research on getting adjusted. That's what you have to do. You have control over your health. You have control over your health. So the healthier you are, the less stress you have, the better. Remember, we talked about the immune system being boosted by over 200% for people who are adjusted really well. And for a lot of you who are listening to this, congratulations, because your immune system is really, really doing well now. But you have control. What does my household do? Well, what my household is doing is everyone's on some sort of adrenal supplement right now, okay? We're all taking something for our adrenals. We're all taking some sort of an immune booster, whether it be Echinacea Premium, whether it be Thymex, Congaplex, calcium lactate, Totavirex, St. John's wort. We're doing something in order to enhance our immune system function. We're all on cod liver oil. Cod liver oil, as I said, has vitamin A and D, and we're all taking vitamin D. We're all taking we're all taking a multivitamin. The multivitamin is called Catalin. Why would you do that? Because it enhances the body's ability to function better. Now, this multivitamin, again, is a whole food vitamin, and that's what we're taking. We're all taking Cataplex C, and some of us are on Cataplex A, and some of us are just getting the A from the cod liver oil, but all 5 of us are taking something. And we have essential oils in our house. Okay, ImmuBoost, we use a company called Purist Products. It's a high quality company, and ImmuBoost is one of the blends of different essential oils that helps the body to function higher. And there's one called China Blend that also is a really good essential oil, but that one you can't put any drops on your tongue or anything. That one is specifically to put on your hands or your palms of your feet. That actually was made, if I remember right, was made for the H1N1 virus. And we're all getting chiropractic adjustments. So these are the kinds of things that we're doing at my house. Now, I actually prepared some other stuff on here, and for some reason it's not there. I don't know what happened to it. But as I told you before, stress is a major, major cause of reduction of your immune system. If anybody would like to ask some questions, I'll be happy to take questions at this point in time. I want to thank you all for coming. I hope that we were able to give you some information of what you can do in order to help boost your immune system, things that you can do to avoid getting sick. And the whole thing here is I hate to say this, to be calm, but the numbers are showing that the amount of people who are having major issues with this is in line with that of the flu, the typical seasonal flu. But I'm not saying that it's not more contagious. I'm just saying that the numbers are pretty much in line with that. How much vitamin A should you be taking a day? Okay, so vitamin A, here's the question, and the answer is this. If you're looking at a whole food supplement, it's a lot different than if you're taking something that's synthetic. So you have to be really careful with taking a synthetic vitamin A where you're getting 20,000 IUs a day or 40,000 IUs a day. What I can tell you about that is that for a short period of time, you're okay. But I can also tell you that in a long period of time, you don't want to be taking synthetic vitamin A, beta carotene only, or retinol, because it will actually lower your immune system. And in fact, there's research and studies out there that show that people who have heart disease or who are smokers, it actually made it worse by taking a lot of it. Now, vitamin A as a whole complex or as a whole food is a totally different animal. For example, vitamin C. I don't know, you can raise your hand if you like, but anybody out there who's taking vitamin C, like it's called ascorbic acid, that's not really the whole vitamin C. What that is that's vitamin C that is made from taking and dumping sulfuric acid on top of corn syrup. And so now it becomes ascorbic acid. Well, vitamin C that you get in an orange or a lemon or a lime is a complex, okay? The ascorbic acid is the outer shell. It's the banana peel, if you will, or the eggshell. The stuff on the inside, the P, the J, the K factors, tyrosinites, and bioflavonoids, that's all the stuff that the eggshell or the banana peel is actually trying to help protect, okay? And so if you were to make a whole food vitamin with the whole complex out of into a pill, 500 milligram pill would be the size of a golf ball. So you have to be careful about what kinds you're taking. Everything I take is, not everything, but the vast majority of stuff that I use is all whole food stuff because it's the whole complex. It's not as much, so you're not going to be getting 20,000 IUs, but what you are going to be getting is you're going to be getting the whole complex. Another question is, can kids take viral RX? I'm guessing that's probably, let's see, I would not recommend for a 9 and 10-year-old to take. I'm not sure what viral RX is. We have one product called Total VRX that we use, and yes, 9 and 10-year-olds have taken that stuff. I have a lot of patients that take these, and they take them, usually we're taking them for short durations. 10 days is typically what we do. My kids that take stuff all the time, I have a 14-year-old, he's been taking stuff since he's been under a year old. So I don't know what viral RX is, so I can't answer to that one, but there are a lot of products that you can do. Elderberry works really well for the little ones. Okay, I was asked regarding meditation and prayer, what was I saying? Well, meditation and prayer upregulates your body's immune system by stimulating 1,200 different chemical reactions that are for feelings of well-being, and boosts these chemical reactions, which enhances your body's balance. So that's what I was talking about there. Vitamin A, is the vitamin A in Catalin enough along with eating healthy? The vitamin A in Catalin, so Catalin is made of 14 different foods. So there's a good, there's a lot of good different minerals in there, and vitamins as well. The amount of A in Catalin, if you were trying to increase your ability to fight off a virus, I would say that you would need more than that, whether it be some cod liver oil that has it in it, or some Cataplex A, not having to take a lot, but just a little bit more than is in the Catalin. Right. What else? How much dabbing should I do to boost my immune system? Okay, how much should you do? All right, here's what I do. You know, if you want to boost your immune system, you know, chances are there's going to be a lot of people that are infected by this virus. Now, I can tell you that there's already a lot of people out there who are infected and have absolutely no symptoms whatsoever. None, zero. And there are people out there who have sniffles or who have, you know, respiratory issues. And there are some people who have a lot more than that. But to me, at this point in time, like I said, every day for years, we've been taking 2 Echinacea Premium. We added a little bit of extra vitamin C, and depending on what we tested for, some of us are taking some St. John's wort, some of us are taking the Total VRX, some of us are taking Thymex. So everybody in my house is tested differently. And when I test people, I use kinesiological testing to find out which product their body wants the most. So it's kind of hard to be able to just say, oh, here, take whatever, and know that it's the best for your body. So hopefully that answers your question. All right, do you have any more questions out there? Would I recommend Catalin with cod liver oil? Yes, I would. Even if I didn't test it, I know that Catalin is a great multivitamin. Cod liver oil is great for reducing the inflammation in your body. It gives you vitamin D, it gives you vitamin A. So yes, that would be a great combination. What can you use to help with sleep issues to make all systems to work better for your immune system? Well, here's the thing. A lot of people have problems with sleep. So the question is your problem with sleep, is it because you can't fall asleep? Is it because you wake up at different times in the night and you can't fall asleep? Is it because you're working a swing shift? You know, there's a lot of different possibilities here. And so when I look at sleep issues, I kind of like to get a better idea of what I'm dealing with. But if you're one of those people that you can't fall asleep, or it takes you, you know, a half an hour or 2 hours to fall asleep, you definitely have an adrenal issue. I can pretty much bet on the fact that your adrenal glands are beat up, and that means that there's a lot of stress in your life. Whether you realize it, whether it's physical stress because you have pain or whatever, whether it's nutritional or chemical stress, you're exposed to stuff, or you're eating bad foods, or eating a lot of sugar or starch or alcohol or whatever, or whether it is an emotional stress where, you know, there's just everything coming down on you right now, you're worried about what's happening right now, there's stuff going on with your dad or your mom or your grandparent, who's somebody who's in a nursing home or whatever. All these cause stress, and so adrenal support is really important. What I like to use is a couple of different things. Vitamin C is huge, but I like to use a product called Drenamin. And again, I like to test people for it to find out exactly what they need, because sometimes people need something like rhodiola ginseng, which is a couple of herbs, rhodiola schisandra. If your adrenals are really bad, you might need withania or ashwagandha. You might need eleuthero. So it's kind of hard to tell exactly without finding what your body tests for. The other thing that we do is we test your blood pressure sitting and standing. And if your blood pressure tanks when you stand up, it should go up by 5 points. If yours drops, then that means your adrenal glands are beat up. Okay, how much total VRX can my 9 and 10-year-olds take per day, and how much should an adult take per day? Well, I can tell you that my 14-year-old is doing 4 of them a day right now. 9 and 10-year-olds, you're really safe with 2 a day, no problem. Maybe even 3 if you want. And if you took that for a month, it would be no problem at all. The Echinacea Premium, again, everybody in my family takes 2 of them a day, and we've been doing that for years. As far as the vitamin C that you're asking about, we're all taking 1 Cataplex C 3 times a day. And we just started that last week. And the reason I started that was just to enhance, because vitamin C is really important for the adrenal glands too, but just to enhance our immune system so that if anybody does get anything, we can push through it really quick. Question about cortisol manager. Yeah, cortisol, again, that tells you your adrenals are stressed. I'm not sure if your question is there a cortisol manager or is there a product called cortisol manager? I don't know that one. But again, I have probably about 14 different products here that I utilize for the adrenal glands when people's adrenal glands are stressed out. Anything else? Anybody else have questions? Now, I'm going to tell you that this will be recorded. It is being recorded. I don't know if it was going on Facebook Live or not. I tried to do that, and I think that was part of the problem was I was trying to do both of these at once to try to get people who weren't on here. But this will be recorded. It'll be on our website. It'll probably end up on Sopchak Natural Health and Wellness Center's Facebook page. So anybody that didn't get to see this, that you might want to see it, to give them information about what's going on with the coronavirus, feel free to share. If there are no more questions, then I think we are going to, I got one more. Two more. Tuna chewables. Tuna chewables, does that work as well as cod liver oil? Tuna chewables are great, and they're great for immune system. They're great for inflammation, which of course we want to have reduced inflammation. Tuna chewables are great, but at this time of year, we tend to shift into more of a cod liver if we can. And the reason is because not only are you getting the A and the D, but it's, with the weather the way it is and the lack of sunshine, it just seems to be better for us. Tuna chewables are great. They're great for the, like I said, reducing inflammation. They're great for the brain and the nervous system. In this case, I would probably go cod liver oil. Right. Anybody, anything else? I thank you guys for coming. I went through all kinds of different things here, didn't I? I thank you guys for coming. I hope that you learned something. Feel free to, as it shows on here, give us a buzz. You can go on our website if you haven't you want to get any information from there. And you can even email us at concordwellness230@gmail. Feel free to get a hold of us, and we'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. I got one last one that comes here. Sorry. Is there a hard copy or a site that they can check? Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. If you guys want some of this information, what I can do is I'll take some of it and I'll put some of it into some different PDFs. And you can tell us what you want. If you want the foods that upregulate your vitamin A, or if you want, what my family is taking, for example, or if you want information on any of the research, just let me know what you're looking for, and I'll be happy to put it on a PDF and we'll get it to you. Okay? All right, thanks again. Everybody have a great night. One last question. Can you do both, tuna and cod? Absolutely. No problem whatsoever there. You can do both, and you can add some cod. It won't hurt. In that case, though, I would probably just do maybe 2 tuna and I'd do a couple of cod. So, all right. Thanks a lot, guys. Feel free to contact me through email if you have any more questions, and we will, we're going to close this. So have a great night.